This episode is brought to you by Accenture. When your advertising operations fall out of sync, everything else follows. Spotify and Accenture are working together to reinvent the rhythm of ad sales, using automation, analytics, and smarter workflows to simplify campaign delivery and access better data across the business. The result? Less time spent on operations, more time connecting brands with the moments and fandoms that matter most. Learn more at accenture.com/Spotify.
Welcome to Puny Pod's monthly bugle for June 2026. My name is Ryan, and my co-host, as always, is David. David, how are we doing this fine evening?
I'm doing pretty well, man. Like, I've had a few rough weeks at work, but today's just was very chill. Went for a nice hike. Ready to catch up on MCU stuff. How are you?
Heck yeah, dude. Same. It's been a time at work, but we are doing swim lessons right now. You know, for the listeners that follow the swim saga that is my life. We're doing outdoor because, you know, it's actually the right weather for that. That's been fun. That's like I kick off each morning for the last 3 weeks with going to the city pool. It's a 50-year-old outdoor city pool, so it's just like it feels like summer. I don't know. It's
cool.
It's so chill and it's so nice and yeah.
Nice. That sounds fun.
So, yeah, and I've got some new businesses cooking and stuff. I'll talk a little bit about that in the ad break. Talk about kind of the new business I've started, and so yeah, so. It's fun times, and we get to talk about Marvel stuff. We skipped last month, so we have a lot of current content. Frankly, we're going to stick mostly to current content. There's one trailer that I want to cover in the trailer park, but like it's a current content show. We day of recording here, we got release notes for X-Men, and there's some other stuff kind of floating around there in the news side of life, but nothing big enough to really take us away from kind of, you know, polishing off Daredevil. We started Daredevil last time we were on the air, and then we have Punisher and Spider Noir. We're covering something not MCU, but you know, spoiler alert, it was pretty fun.
So what you're saying is we're not scraping for content like during the writer's strikes. We're like recapping like union negotiation tactics.
Exactly. Yeah, we don't need to get to the bottom of the barrel just yet. So with that said, let's kick it off straight into Daredevil Born Again Season 2. I will say everything that we're going to share here may have spoilers. So Daredevil Season 2, we're going to go through all the way to the end. Punisher, we're going to kind of talk about it more in the abstract, but we might mention some story points that are spoilers. Same with Spider Noir. So if you haven't watched any of those projects, I would highly recommend saying pause this, go watch those, come back, listen again, maybe leave this playing on silent on your phone while you're watching those, and then come back and replay it.
I disagree. I would question your life choices and the decisions you make, which have kept you from watching these shows for all these months. But potato.
Yeah, here we go. Yeah. Well, let's jump in. So we covered episodes 1, 2, and 3 on our last monthly bugle. That was the monthly bugle from April 2026. So go check that out if you missed that. But we will start here with episode 4 of Daredevil Born Again Season 2. So the episode opens with Bullseye enjoying a banana milkshake at a diner, and he's almost jovial. He calls in a fake Punisher tip to draw the AVTF, and then massacres every single agent in this really well choreographed, just brutal violence using forks and dull, you know, diner knives to kill them, and it's crazy. Ultimately, he paints a bullseye symbol in red liquid ketchup. It's actually ketchup on the door on his way out. I remember seeing the like marketing for this episode, and like they showed that Bullseye, and everybody's like, oh gosh, that's bloody. It's not blood. It's just ketchup. On the resistance side, Karen is kind of getting to the bottom of things. She gets a hold of Christopher Sava, who was the first mate of the Northern Star. She enlists Karen McDuffie to record his sworn confession for court. The win is immediately gutted, though, because Buck finds Sava and kills him. Buck doing Buck things. The confession exists, but there's no witness to put behind it. Fisk and Mr. Charles have this heated standoff. For those who don't remember, Mr. Charles is played by Matthew Lillard. I know his name was not frequently said in the show, so if you're trying to remember who was Mr. Charles, he was the CIA agent played by Matthew Lillard. Fisk has Buck eliminate a few of Charles's men as a show of force, buying an uneasy peace, but kicking the CIA problem down the road. The episode's climax is Fisk's boxing match. Better than a UFC match on the front lawn, but here we are. I knew you were gonna go there. Dex, aka Bullseye, crashes it and starts laying waste to AVTF agents. Vanessa draws a weapon and fires it at him. Dex ultimately hurls a glass souvenir. Fisk blocks it with his boxing belt, shattering this souvenir and sending a shard directly into Vanessa's head. As Fisk cradles her on the floor, Daredevil and Bullseye escape together into the night as the Watcher watches, and the man Fisk built everything around is suddenly so now we are, everybody's kind of sent to the wind, and everybody's scrambling.
Yeah, it was a good episode. I didn't love the boxing stuff. It is very brutal. I do second my earlier comment that I think he's taken some sort of soldier serum, because I don't know that some dude in his 50s is just going to be like that powerful, but like, whatever, it's all good.
Yeah, that's fair. I would agree that, he has some sort of superpower, and I think that's always been the thing with Kingpin is he's unnaturally strong. He's unnaturally strong and unnaturally tough. So I will also mention that, I did like that the Watcher showed up. So if you watch, there's kind of after everybody leaves the gym and they go, and Matt and Dex go through the window, it's kind of shattered in such a way that it forms Uatu, the Watcher's head, and then there's two lights kind of hanging to be his face, and I think the showrunners have confirmed that was the Watcher watching.
That's fun. Didn't even notice that. I have to go back and look and check that out. So at the end of the episode, she's being operated on. Next episode 5 of Grand Design picks up, and this is the pretty flashback heavy episode that kind of rests in between the mainline story. So in the present, Vanessa has survived her surgery barely, while Matt and a badly injured Dex are on the run from a city that's been turned completely upside down. So Matt escorts Dex to safety, and the two have their kind of this weird like interaction because Dex killed his best buddy,
right?
And I think this is the scene where he's like strapped down, even though he's like been badly injured. Dex believes his own survival was kind of this cosmic mistake, and that Vanessa's injury balanced the scales for Foggy, and he's practically asking Matt to let him die, which Matt, by virtue of his character, refuses to do. His logic is
Catholic guilt
his,
is kicking in strong.
it is kicking up to 90 right now. And his logic is that the penance is mutual, and that he threw Dex off the roof and owes him a chance to survive. So, throw me off the roof once, shame on me. Throw me off the roof the second time. Well, okay. So we get flashbacks that run in parallel. Matt and Foggy, as young lawyers, are defending childhood bully of Foggy's in a case being quietly orchestrated by Wesley to have the man killed. We see Fisk and Vanessa just before the original Netflix series began, meeting for the first time at an art gallery over Rabbit in a Sandstorm. The flashbacks are shot, and you noted they were kind of graded to make it look like the Netflix era look. And this odd couple, they we see this. It was a nice episode. You see like a background of Vanessa you didn't really see before. It makes it a little bit more two-dimensional. You kind of see more of their relationship, which, you see just kind of the bad stuff in kind of season 1 and other stuff. But like this, you can see like, oh, this is where the kind of actual emotional love began. They reconcile the vulnerable Vanessa of the old series with the calculating Lady Macbeth of Born Again into a single coherent person. Now, she wakes up from the surgery, as we all expect her to do. She's not going to die on the table. Like, that would be kind of anticlimactic. And she asks Fisk to tell her the story of how they met. And she asked for some pineapple juice, but you could tell like something is off, right? Like early on, you're like, oh, it's like, sometimes when you see the person that's been like, if you ever saw Breaking Bad, when like, what's his name's character, like the explosion, the back of his head was like shot out.
Oh yeah.
Or somebody's been shot, they don't realize, and they're kind of stumbling around all of a sudden.
Yeah, almost euphoric, acting very strange.
Gus Fring, yeah, totally. She pulls Gus Fring, she dies right there. And it basically closes in on Fisk kind of alone in his void. And so this is the episode where people had been hypothesizing that Eldon Henson would return as Foggy, obviously in some sort of flashback sequence because he died in the last season. And so I think Foggy's and we see Foggy's character had this, kind of mercy that being an attorney is being as a defense attorney, being able to represent people who have committed crimes or people who you don't even like. And this is even so personal to him that he's still willing to represent him, and I think this has like a profound impact on Matt and kind of shapes his kind of moral compass, if you will. Not that he didn't have one before, but you know what I mean? Like it helps to kind of shape his character. So
yeah, for sure. And the side plot in this episode, for those who maybe don't remember this one, is one of the better ones. It's where Buck and Daniel played by Michael Gandolfini, we kind of see they're getting a friendship that's like budding and starting here, where Daniel's like suggesting that Buck eats street meat. Like he has these amazing street meat hot dogs, and then they go upstate to bury a body. And the whole time Daniel's convinced that he's going to get murdered. But yeah, I thought also so too. Really liked that one.
I thought so too. I thought this was one of the best scenes of, I don't know if it was the entire season, but this was a very memorable scene, and it was very intense and hard for me to watch. Because you would see that in Sopranos, you're like, oh man, Christopher's going to get offed. Like, and then, you know what I mean? Like, you just know what's going to happen.
For sure. So the morning after, Fisk sits at Vanessa's bedside when her surgeon enters to offer condolences and comfort. Fisk pulls him into a hug, but you don't want a hug from Wilson Fisk because, you end up with dust for a spine. Buck steps in behind him to clean up. Afterwards, at the funeral, Fisk arrives in all white while everyone else wears black. Mr. Charles approaches. Fisk walks past without acknowledging him. Fisk redistributes the CIA's stolen military-grade weapons directly to his AVTF. Now they are basically a private militia, fully armed. The bigger surprise of the episode is a suburban front door getting blown off its hinges as an AVTF squad moves in to find Jessica Jones at home with her daughter, Danielle. They fail to capture Jessica, and Jessica goes into the city and meets Matt on a rooftop and starts connecting the wires. Fisk has been working with the CIA through Mr. Charles. Charles has been recruiting superpowered individuals for what appears to be some sort of Thunderbolts-esque situation.
Asterisk.
Jessica had declined this work, but hints that someone close to them both didn't. I wonder who that could be. They team up to destroy Fisk's newly armed weapons depot. Jessica goes through a wall. Daredevil goes through the door. But mid-fight, Jessica's powers actually short out. Powell gets the drop on her, and Matt has to pull her out. Back at the hideout, Dex wakes up and immediately starts baiting Karen, who nearly pulls the trigger. This is where we are really seeing and this was striking throughout the whole season, was like, I feel like Karen, we're seeing the kind of the side of her that isn't quite as in control. It's in stark contrast to Daredevil, to Matt.
Did you think she was going to kill him?
I think had she had the chance, she probably would have. But Matt stops her. They fight again about justice and vengeance and whether anything means anything anymore. We head outside City Hall to a protest that grows and, tips into a riot, totally not because it was incited by the people there to stop it, but, here we are. Powell uses the chaos to execute Saunders publicly blame the vigilantes, then orders a full crackdown. Karen comes up above ground to help and gets unmasked by Powell at gunpoint. Matt, meanwhile, finds Fisk in his Red Hook basement in front of Rabbit in a snowstorm. He proposes a deal. Both of them leave New York. Fisk refuses. They fight. Absolutely a brutal fight. I mean, this is classic Daredevil. Brutal. Fisk throws Matt into the painting, which tears it. Matt puts him down with a knee across the jaw. The last thing Fisk owned that had Vanessa in it is in pieces on the floor. We have 2 episodes left. The chaos of this episode, I would say, the chaos was so well done. Just the way that it got, everything went crazy, and the way they moved it around was really well orchestrated.
Yeah, this was a tough one to watch at points in time. Like, some of it's like, it was a little too realistic,
Yeah, there's definitely some close to the surface happening there.
Close to the surface, like but the way in which the evil anti-vigilante task force group is like fomenting like this kind of fake reason to invoke, like, basically like shut down the city. It was a tough one. I was so I'm 0 for 2 at this point in time as who's going to get killed. I was fairly certain that what's his name was going to get killed in this episode.
Oh, Powell
was going to kill what's his name who ratted him out. So or ratted out the task force. So the next episode 7, is called The Hateful Darkness. So this is the second last episode, and we see it's a Karen Page episode. She's wearing legal thriller's clothes. She's in jail. She's been stripped and processed. Fisk visits her personally, which is this really kind of like very charged scene between 2 people who know of each other but haven't really had like the kind of the direct interactions. He knows her and she obviously knows him. He threatens he threatens with a kangaroo trial, and she doesn't even blink. She's like, whatever. Like, she already knows. I'm sure she already knows it's going to be heavily skewed.
She knows it's a spec.
Yeah, it's just going to be a something show. The Heather Glenn is sent in to psychologically assess her. Again, very intense, very creepy. We'll get to the person that was scored, how it gets changed later on. That was swordsman. Sorry. They trade barbs about Matt, about Foggy, about Kevin, about Wesley. Heather physically strikes Karen during the interview, which Karen clocks immediately as her courtroom ammunition. Brett Mahoney, who is now the chief of detectives, arranges a brief window for Matt and Karen to meet outside. And she tells them that they have to beat Fisk in his own court, not to run from it. And Matt agrees and has a move ready. So the fist bump moment of the episode, Kristen introduces her co-counsel, Matthew Murdoch. Room goes crazy. By crazy, I mean it's completely still. Fisk is watching from his office on TV. I guess it's being broadcast. Or he has maybe some sort of CCTV into the courtroom, which might be more realistic. So it becomes this big theater, and Matt knows, like, everything's stacked against him. They rule against him. It's just like a fait accompli that it's just going to be guilty. And so Matt knows exactly how to use it. So Jessica confronts Mr. Charles directly, gets confirmation that he's now cut off from Fisk, and extracts a key piece of intel that the only legal mechanism that could stop Fisk's Freeport charter is the governor. Fisk, knowing this, sends an assassin after McCaffrey. Bullseye intercepts and kills him, saving her life. The balance of scales Dex has been obsessing over to start to feel, just for a moment, like it might actually tip. Daniel's arc ends here. Buck gives him the choice: either deliver BB or face the consequences. Daniel brings BB to Buck, then can't go through with it. He lets her go. He tells Buck he gets just wally mopped and shot in the head. And then the episode ends with Jessica walking into St. Jude while Matt prays, and she's back.
Yeah. This was a really good episode, and man, trying to summarize these episodes is so hard because, like, there's so much that happens. I mean, when we get around to actually doing the main show episode on these seasons, they're going to be massive, but there was so much here. I really liked the crime, or like the kind of courtroom drama of it all. Like, I thought that was really, really interesting with Karen's kind of trial and everything. And they built up that tension, and especially in the next episode, which we'll talk about in a second, built up that tension really, really well. We also know here from the conversation between Charles and Jessica that Luke Cage has been working for the CIA somewhere overseas. It's kind of left ambiguous, but we know it's overseas, and that Jessica is in a relationship with Luke.
Yeah, good one. Also, nice seeing Deidre Lovejoy from The Wire.
Yeah,
she popped up. I was like, oh my god, I couldn't remember her name. It was driving me crazy. I knew she was in The Wire, and I had to look up her name.
That's funny. Well, the season ends in a courtroom, which honestly I thought was incredibly well done. Matt and Fisk finally face each other, but not as Daredevil and Kingpin just yet, but as lawyer and witness. It's the most electric thing the show has done in 2 seasons. Matt calls Fisk to the stand. Fisk whispers that he can destroy Matt with what he knows. Remember, Matt can hear things, so Matt's actually in a whole different room. I think at this point they're in the judge's chambers trying to figure out how this whole deposing the mayor is going to go. And like, it's a really cool way that they do. It's a one-sided conversation because it's just Fisk whispering while Matt's hearing him. Matt kind of invites Fisk to try and destroy him. Kristen plays Sava's recorded confession, connecting Fisk directly to the Northern Star weapons shipment. The conversation turns to Daredevil, whether he's a hero or a criminal. and Fisk, smelling blood in the water, pushes. Matt pushes back harder. No, I am not. I am Daredevil.
I am
So
Iron
Matt,
Man.
right?
Well,
Exactly.
this is he had to do this to basically like link the evidence to
Right.
otherwise like the videos, here
Yeah.
yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Basically, this was Matt. Matt traded in his secret identity for the trial, essentially. Court goes wild, speculating there's no way a blind man can be Daredevil, and he throws his baton, his his sensing baton against the wall, bounces it off 3 walls, and catches it. Court goes silent. Duh, he's Daredevil. Case dismissed. Karen is free. Outside, a fake bullseye planted by Fisk tries. It's originally this fake bullseye is set to kill Matt, but he gets knifed by the real bullseye, who then takes his own shot at Fisk. Buck steps in front of it, takes the bullet. Fisk locks himself in the courthouse and goes live to rally his base, insists he won't leave. BB and Angela interrupt the broadcast and unmask his corruption on air. The AVTF crumbles from within. We see Cole North finally defecting when Powell orders his people to fire on civilians. So good to watch Powell get beat.
Yeah, we've been waiting for it for the whole
Yeah.
time. He's just such a punchable face, right?
Yeah. The mob reaches Fisk again. So I cannot say like Daredevil is always brutal and violent, but like this scene where Fisk is fighting through the courthouse is insane.
It's in the way to describe it. Like this final scene, think steps that kind of lead their way up to. There's like a landing area, so he's not in the courtroom itself, and so you have these groups of mobs who are like, "Okay, I got a great idea. Let's storm up these stairs." Where, to quote Anakin, he has the high. To quote Obi-Wan, he has
the high ground.
I have the high ground, and does not go well at all.
So Matt, is now full Daredevil, but he wants to stop this. So he and Jessica show up, and they're trying to stop the mob from attacking Fisk. He's offering Fisk grace. He says, hey, justice is you go away. You renounce your citizenship, get out of here. I go away. We're all gone. And there's no way that with either of us in New York, we break this cycle, right? Finally, after denying this offer multiple times and all these fights, I think there's like 3 separate times that they stop fighting. Fisk finally takes the offer. We hear the police. Matt hears the police. We kind of get to the next day, right? And Matt and Karen are on a date, and we hear the police, and Matt hears it because he has a super hearing. He steps out of the booth at the kind of Indian restaurant that they're at, kneels down. He knows what's coming. And he goes quietly. He's committed a decade of vigilante crimes and impersonated a lawyer on both sides of the same cases. He knew this was coming. He gives a quick "I love you," and then we get the epilogue. We see Fogwell's gym is reopening. We see BB walking into the bulletin. She's got her dad's position. Ellison, is handling or is giving BB Ben Urich's old clippings. Heather Glenn is alone in a mirror in her home, putting on the Muse mask, which is a little strange. And we see
Things are not going well for her.
Yeah. We see Fisk alone on a beach, and he's kind of off doing that. And then we see Jessica back at Alias Investigations. Door opens. Luke Cage is there, and we do get to see Luke Cage in the flesh. Love to see Power Man showing up. So there has been a season 3 announced. I did see that in the last couple of weeks that they are working on season 3. So, which is not surprising with the way the epilogue kind of showed, right? Like, we know we have at least 2 more superpowered individuals that we're going to have to deal with. It'll be interesting to see how much this ties into Doomsday and Secret Wars. I'm curious to see that. But yeah, what'd you think of the season overall?
I enjoyed the season. You can see, and upon rewatch, I'm sure we'll notice even more. It definitely felt like 2 tales. You have all the courtroom stuff, right? Which was their original intent and plan. Someone looked at it and was like, "Hey, man, this is not Law and Order. You've got to beef this stuff up. Maybe you're bringing more characters." I liked the season. As I mentioned before, there were parts that were hard to watch just because they're kind of corollaries to things that are kind of happening or have happened in recent times. That, for at least for me, is kind of difficult to process, if you will.
Sure.
But it was great seeing the characters. I thought that they did. You know, it wasn't just like maybe some of the early Netflix where it's just a montage of like awesomely choreographed fight scenes. There were like, you actually see relationships. You see more of the Vanessa, Kingpin relationship. You start to see Karen and Matt and that kind of deviation. They they love each other. There's also this kind of like maybe fundamental disagreement, and it'd be interesting to see how that kind of plays out. You get to see Jessica and you get to see Luke Cage again. So excited to see them bringing back the whole band. I would obviously love to see more of the 2 of them, but I'm guessing they were probably brought in as part of the last minute rewrites.
Yeah. What do you think? Do they bring in Danny Rand? Do we get Iron Fist in season 3?
The same Danny Rand or a Danny Rand?
The same Danny Rand.
I would say no.
No.
I would say no. I think he's offered. I think at one point in time he joked that he was gonna. I had to go back and I thought I remember reading somewhere that like he had said he joked he was going to be in like Doomsday as like an alternate Danny Rand. I don't know. Well, would I be shocked if he showed up? No. I think they've got enough characters right now.
I also wonder if they're going to go like a Heroes for Hire route. If Mr. Charles's work ends up being like Heroes for Hire, and so maybe you kind of bring in like maybe some Deadpool and some of that a little bit. And obviously we're going to see the Hand in Spider-Man Brand New Day. That's been all over the trailers. And the Hand is huge in Daredevil, right?
Oh, sure.
Like, that's
sure.
To the point where when Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles decided to parody or came out as a parody of Daredevil, they specifically the Foot Clan.
I know.
Weird comic book lore. Here you go, folks. When the very first Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles comics came out, they were a parody of Daredevil. And the Foot Clan, that are the villains in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, they are a direct parody of the Hand, which is a ninja organization in the Marvel universe that is a frequent villain of Daredevil. So yeah, all that to say, I think we're gonna maybe get some more fighting. I don't think we're gonna go back down the political thriller route. I think we're done with that for a while.
I would agree. I would agree. Do you think it's going to be Kingpin again?
I don't think so. I think
so
Kingpin's
either.
retired. I think he's off in Bora Bora or Martha's Vineyard or wherever he's at the end. And I think he's there for a bit.
Yeah, I think that's right.
So. Well, let's move on to talk about hard to watch. But not in a bad way necessarily, in my opinion. But let's talk about the Marvel TV special presentation Punisher, One Last Kill. Now, I want to warn anyone who is about to pause this to go watch this so you don't get spoilers. Be ready. This is a incredibly hard, like, if trigger warning on this whole thing. This whole special presentation is really brutal, mentally and physically. So let's talk about it real quick. Released May 12th, 2026, Disney Plus. Runtime 51 minutes. You feel every single one of those 51 minutes. Director Ronaldo Marcus Green, known for King Richard and We Own This City. Written by Ronaldo Marcus Green and John Barenthal, his first writing credit. We place this kind of in phase 6. It sort of bridges Daredevil Born Again and Spider-Man Brand New Day. We'll get to it when we talk about our full review, but I have theories on what this is meant to do. A very quick synopsis. We're not going to go as in depth on either of the next two projects as we did on Daredevil. But this special focuses heavily on the psychological realism and character depth of Frank Castle. Their approach transforms Frank Castle into a more complex figure within the MCU, not just rage, but a man struggling to reshape his identity after the end of his war. So just to give you guys a quick plot summary, I guess, best way to put it. This is Frank Castle. He's killed everybody who had anything to do with his family's murder. He's living in the neighborhood where the mobsters were that had killed off his family, and like the power vacuum left after the mob was killed, it has created absolute hysteria within the neighborhood. It's open crime on the streets. Think of the absolute worst and then add a couple more layers to it. And the second half of the episode, pretty much the last surviving member of the mob family shows up to, I assume, the publicly assisted housing that Frank is living in. And basically says, I've telegraphed your GPS to every psycho and killer in the city. And then the second half of the special, basically, it's probably a 20-minute fight scene of Frank just tearing through these people who are trying to tear through him. And like I say, heavy trigger warning, because it's bloody, it's violent, it is gritty, it's dirty. There is assault of all kinds on every single one of your senses. I mean, it opens, the first scene is a man throwing a dog in front of a car and killing it, that gives you any idea. Like, it's brutal. I was not ready for it when I watched it. I knew, I was like, let's turn on this Punisher thing. Let's check it out. And I was not ready for it. David, what'd you think?
I was going to say, if hearing John Bernthal grunt or groan is a trigger, like, do not watch this. Like half the dialogue, it seems. Yeah. So I started it several times. Couldn't get into it. I think I'm like 15 minutes in, and I'm just like, God, there's more than another half hour left. And it just felt to me like, okay, cool. It's MCU John Wick, basically.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, like,
down to the dog.
the dog, the calling in, hey, when they sent out the little warning to like everybody gets on their phone, like, oh, here's, John Wick and here's the bounty. It's like very similar, if you will. I was just left kind of wondering, like, kind of what was the point? You know what I mean?
Yeah, like it was almost gratuitous for the sake of gratuity.
Yeah, it wasn't like the kind of, certainly not the comedic, playful Deadpool
Oh no,
which
no,
which is
no, no,
which is
no.
in and of itself often can be very graphic, but
Right.
because it's got like, funny music, and and you just realize like it's sort of like this, almost, it's comedic, and it's not as
Yeah.
impactful. This is hard to watch. I did not
This,
enjoy that. I did not enjoy
yeah.
this. And I don't say that
Yeah.
about too much.
I get the feeling. So here's my theory of what this is for. This is to exercise and give the Punisher fans their thing, right? So this is very reminiscent. I forget what the comic imprint is now. There was a comic imprint that was kind of like hardcore for the sake of being hardcore. I think it was called like Marvel Edge or something like that. I don't remember it now. There was like a Wolverine comic on it, and there was some Punisher comics on it. And they were kind of gratuitous for the sake of being gratuitous, right? Like you see literal sexual assault happening in this like special presentation. You see blood and gore and like and it's hyper real. It's beyond realistic, right? It reminds me a lot of like a Judge Dredd. That to some
that.
degree, like some Judge Dredd kind of stuff. And so here's my theory on why this exists is I think this serves because we're about to get not this in Spider-Man. I think John Barenthal's Punisher is about to be to a lot of the Punisher fans. I think they're going to criticize how soft maybe Punisher comes across in Spider-Man. This is me guessing, right? I don't know anything, but this is my guess. And so I think this was a presentation created to be like, hey, look, guys, we made your Punisher, right? We made the blood and gore and glorification of violence that you want. That's over here. And that you can watch weirdly on Disney Plus right now. But you can watch that over here. Let us do Spider-Man teaming up with Punisher so that they can kind of go get into hijinks through New York City, right?
I could see that. I could see like, hey, this was his redemptive arc. If you want to like, when you would read old comic books and it'd say, hey, see episode 154,
Mm-hmm.
And you go back to 154, and this is episode 154. We're like, oh, this is when he just like murdered a bunch of people and just went like, had this kind of psycho redemptive arc, if you will. He obviously cannot be this in Spider-Man at all. Like that's not that's not going to fly.
No. I will also say one thing I did like about it, and it made it hard to watch, but it was really good, was the mental health, the investigation of mental health, particularly like PTSD and that sort of thing. And like not necessarily glorifying this guy who, we saw it in the first season of Daredevil, right? Like the AVTF was all wearing the Punisher skulls on their suits, and he hated that because he's like, no, that's you're glorifying what I'm not, and you without understanding my deeper kind of psyche and understanding the trauma I've been through. And so I think that was really well done here, because that is a mistake that happens so often with Punisher content specifically, right? Is everybody focuses on the guy killing the bad guys, who he just kills the bad guys because they're bad guys. He shoots first, asks question later. But it a lot of times in the comics, there is a lot of this investigation of what that does to his psyche and what that does to him as a human. And so I did really like that piece of this, is like that investigation of Frank Castle, the human being, not just Frank Castle, the meat sack with guns at the end of his hands.
Yeah. I would say that was probably, I would have liked more of that inquiry, and maybe having another person in the show with him to kind of, I don't know,
Yeah.
just, I mean, it's a little bit of a writing trope to like kind of draw it out and like to kind of like challenge and all this other stuff to kind of like be the voice of the audience, if you will, to like, hey Frank, you doing okay? You know what I mean? Like, but,
Yeah.
but
For
that
sure.
wasn't what was part of it, but that could have been better. Wasn't my favorite though.
That's fair.
But I did have a much more of a favorite.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about something that is a little bit more silly, is a little bit more fun. Let's talk about Spider Noir. So I want to give a quick comic primer. It's a little different than my other comic primers because I'm not going to talk about who Ben Reilly is and all that stuff. Rather, I want to talk about Spider-Man Noir. So Spider-Man Noir originated as a 4-issue Marvel Comics limited series published in 2009, written by David Hine and Fabrice Saplucci, with art by Carmine D. Mendocino.
Guys, we're not paid to learn these names. Come on.
It was part of Marvel's Noir imprint, which reimagined various characters in a 1930s Depression era setting. Captain America Noir, Spider-Man Noir, X-Men Noir, all kind of came out of that same imprint, but Spider-Man was definitely the flagship for the imprint. In the comics, the character is Peter Parker, not Ben Reilly, like we'll see in the show here. He's a young journalist in a Depression-era New York who gets bitten by a spider that escaped from a mystical spider idol. The tone is heavy, hard-boiled noir, corrupt politicians, organized crime, freak show underbelly of the city. The Kingpin of the comics version runs a literal freak show and deals in stolen artifacts. The Vulture is a cannibalistic killer. Aunt May is a socialist activist. It's genuinely dark and weird in ways that feel very true to the period. A follow-up miniseries, Spider-Man Noir Eyes Without a Face, came out in 2010 and continued the series. Now, that's all the comic books. It does differ a little bit, and I will say this series was more based on the character that was introduced in Spider-Man, the first Spider-Verse movie. I always get them mixed up which one is which, but yeah. So David, do you want to give us kind of a rundown of the details and maybe some of the synopsis here?
So the characters, I mean, I have to say anyone other than Nicolas Cage as Ben Reilly, the Spider. The fantastic. Features Lamorne Morris as Robbie Robertson, who was a comic pull. Bill Nunn portrayed him in the Sam Raimi trilogy. I thought he was really good.
Yeah.
Brendan Gleeson as Silvermane, who has a direct 616 counterpart who's Italian but very mob related here. He's Irish. Lee June Lee, who as Cat Hardy / the Black Cat, and Felicia Hardy is her 616 counterpoint. We had Jack Houston as Flint Marco / Sandman. We had Abraham Papua as Lincoln, Lonnie Lincoln as Tombstone. You had a noted here that listeners might remember him from Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man as the kid who unwillingly got caught up in the gang.
Yep.
And you had Andrew Caldwell as Dirk Layden, not Electro, but as Megawatt, similar powers. I thought it was Electro, but
I thought so too. And then they called him Megawatt, and I was like, is that just for funsies? And then I looked it up, and no, the story of Megawatt, he's actually a Hollywood actor in the comics, and so making him a off-Broadway actor in the noir is fun.
Who knew? Learned something. It's developed by Oren Uziel and Stephen Lightfoot, who were the co-showrunners. Developed in partnership with Phil Lord, Christopher Miller, and Amy Pascal. The Spider-Verse team appears on Amazon Plus. So I think this is the first Marvel property that was created for and appears on Amazon Plus. I know that they've
sounds accurate.
Streamed other things. There've been other MCU shows have bopped on there for a bit, right?
Yeah, nothing. Because they have some other comic book stuff. They have like The Boys, and they have Invincible, but those are not Marvel.
Yeah. Universe placement. So this is in the Sony Spider-Man universe. It's not MCU canon. Think of this like the Sony stuff, right? That we've come to know and love. And seen in the last Spider-Man movie. So it's kind of a spiritual nephew or cousin to the animated Spider-Man first films, but it's a full reimagining. So Nicolas Cage, it's thespian national treasure, he appears in the Spider-Verse films as Ben Reilly. And this is basically like an extraction from it, if you will. It is, as you noted, he is this kind of seasoned, little down on his luck private investigator in 1930s New York. He was, wait for it, bitten by a radioactive spider man as a result of some like wartime like tests that were done, and he became the mass vigilante known as the Spider. He had a deeply personal tragedy when a loved one was killed, and so he walked away from it entirely. There was a fun scene where he has again John Wick buried in the wall of his old apartment, his suit that he disguises himself as a plumber to break into and get his suit back. But a case that looks otherwise straightforward, basically like it pulls him back into the line of being Spider-Man, and it's great. The series is available in 2 versions. There is authentic black and white, which is how I watched it the first time, and then kind of true hue full color, which I didn't rewatch, but I watched some of the scenes, and it is beautiful. It reminds you, it kind of reminds you of like the overly colorful. Think of like Wizard of Oz that were like
oversaturated.
Yeah. And so you see, so you see like Sandman. You're like, oh, he's wearing the colors, and it's pretty cool. Like I would, unlike the Werewolf by Night, which was shown in black and white, they colorized it a la Ted Turner with a lot of the old AMC stuff. And anyway, I would recommend watching it black and white, but the color might be a nice watch as well. It was good. Nice. I really enjoyed it.
I loved it. Like there were certainly some Nick Cage being Nick Cage moments. There's great. Like a whole like he has spasms. There's a whole like thing. Like part of his story is he has spasms, and they wrote that for Nick Cage. Like he's doing these like spasms and throwing his arms around, and it's so good. Lamorne Morris as Robbie Robertson was great. I'm familiar with him from The New Girl as Winnie the Bish, which was great. By the way, anybody watching this who is trying to figure out, or anybody who watches this that trying to figure out where they knew Silvermane from, if you are Brendan Gleeson's been in a lot of things, but if you are a Harry Potter fan, he was Mad-Eye Moody, and that's where I was like, who is that guy? Why do I know that guy? Where is he from? Mad-Eye Moody in the Harry Potter films.
Yeah, Legion Lee, she was in Sitters. Like a lot of really familiar faces. Jack Houston's been in a bunch of stuff. Grandfather, famous director, right? Johnny. I liked it. It had a nice mix of action. I love a noir movie, right? I think it's cool. I thought it was very well done. Seemed very 30s-ish. So paid homage to your classic noir. It wasn't heavy on fight scenes in CGI, although I understand it was very expensive to make. Somehow these things always cost $20 million. I heard some ridiculous amount. Like I think somebody said, I'll double check this. I thought it was like $400 million to make. And I'm like, I don't know how it costs that much money, but it was funny. It was quirky. The supporting characters, his assistant was funny. It was just really well done. It wasn't a very complex plot. It was well paced. I did not get bored watching this at all. Yeah. Unlike Punisher one last time or whatever it was called. Like this one, I didn't mind like watching it end to end. It was good.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I thought it was really, really fun. I have heard some rumblings about a second season, which is cool. I hope so. Catch up on it. Anybody listening, you should go Google Spider Noir real quick. There's a fun little Easter egg. Google does a little fun thing with that.
That's fun. Question for you.
Yeah.
So, Metacritic score for these 3 properties for the second season of Daredevil, Metacritic score 73. For Punisher, One Last Kill was 63. And for Spider Noir, 72. Question for you. MFK, Spider Noir, Punisher, Daredevil.
I
We already know what the kill is going to be.
Yeah, I'm killing One Last Kill, but I mean, so I should say, we dog on it a little bit. It was not bad. I want to be very
It was
clear
well
with
done.
One
It was
Last
well
Kill.
prepared. It's just hard to watch.
Yeah, it was incredibly, but not in like a this is so bad I can't watch it type of way. Not in a Valerian City of 1,000 planets type of way, but just like more in like a Train Spotting way, or some episodes of Breaking Bad where you get done and you just have to take a shower. You're just like, your skin's crawling. It's yeah. So, but yes, that is my kill, is Spider-Man, or is the One More Day. Rewatching it one more time and then being done with it, probably Daredevil season 2. That's my F.
Okay.
And then rewatching it a lot of times is probably Spider Noir. I actually said this, I think it was on the Ears Up Discord where I said this. I feel like Spider-Man Noir is the most creative thing done with a Marvel property in the last 10 years. Which is a big swing, and I get that. I don't know if it's the best necessarily. But I think it's it's still a superhero show because it's about a superhero, but it's incredibly creative and it's incredibly different and it's incredibly like cool in that way where it's not just let's have the guy who's insert relationship here, ex-lover, brother, cousin, whatever, comes back for vengeance and has XYZ motives and they fight and then they get done. Like this was different and interesting and creative, and like I don't know that I have seen that kind of creativity since like maybe like WandaVision.
I would like to remind you that Secret Invasion came out in 2023.
Yes, so creative.
Just kidding. It was good. Like I had like a vague outline or like impression of what it would be. Mm-hmm. And I didn't have, not knowing anything about like kind of the creative team, not knowing how it was developed or produced. I had no idea what was going to get in for. Like, I didn't know how good it was going to be. It was very well done. Like you said, very creative, different, if you kind of an homage a little bit to the Spider-Verse because it's going to be different than the Spider-Man that right?
Yeah.
And on a serious note, like he pulled it off, man. Like,
yeah, it's
Nicolas Cage was really good. And I have sat down. I will say this: I've sat down a few Friday nights, and my wife and I plugged through a few recent Nicolas Cage movies, just on a lark. And man, there are some ones where I almost swallow my own tongue. But this was it was very enjoyable. He was funny. He was just kind of believable. He was just very like, you liked him right away. And that's sometimes hard to do as a character.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, before we get to the trailer park, because we have one last thing, which is the trailer park. Before we do that, though, I do want to break away to a little bit of an ad break. Before we go to the inserted ads, which we'll get to here in a second, I do want to mention that I have started a new side venture. So I'm still doing the concierge stuff. Give me an email, shoot me an email, ryanh@concierge.com R Hardon, RHARDON @concierge.com if you want to do any sort of traveling. In fact, I just booked somebody for San Diego for funsies. They're going out for the 4th, and they're not even doing anything Disney. They're just going out to San Diego to have a good time.
San Diego was awesome. Why would you not?
They approached me and they were like, we have a few things in mind. Our budget is about $1,000, and they were like, do we do Disney? Do we do Universal, Hollywood? Or do we go to San Diego and go brewery hopping, hang out on the beach? And
Padres
they
game,
were
right?
thinking about like Legoland. I talked about a Legoland because it's 2 adults. I was like, go to San Diego. I can get you I can find you a sweet hotel within your budget, and just go screw off in San Diego. Go tool around, and there's so much to do there. Anyway, I'm still doing that stuff. Inadvertent plug there. But I'm also, as another side project here, I have started a Etsy shop. It's called Buckin' Ears Outpost, and I make 3D printed cruise accessories, I guess is the best way to put it. Right now, I am selling, at time of recording, it's all magnets, but in the coming weeks, I'll be launching some jewelry trays and like little miniature ducks that you can hide around the cruise ships and that sort of stuff. So check it out. I'll put the link in the show notes. If you need something custom made, also reach out. I love doing custom orders. I'm working on a custom order right now for a person who makes custom Mickey or Minnie ears. I'm kind of making them kind of my flagship item. The thing that started this all for me is I have like a design that I made that's a wall mount, but it's also got magnets in it, so you can take it on a cruise for a mini ear holder. So like the mini ears you buy in the park, this is a wall mount that you can put on the wall and hang your mini ears on. But it also has magnets, so you can take it on cruise ships and put it on the back of your stateroom door and get your stuff up out of the way. So yeah, check that out. Again, that's Buckin' Ears, spelled EARS at the end.
Doesn't have a dash or a Z.
No dash or Z. But yeah, it's been fun getting that designed. And like I say, I would love to do custom orders for y'all too. If you got a family trip coming up, or you want to give somebody a gift, something like that. The shop does have a request custom order option. Hit that and let me know, and let's get you cooking with something.
I'm not going to lie, Ryan. When you talked about this kind of cruise themed, like stuff that you would 3D print, I thought you were talking about Tom Cruise, and I was going to order a risky business magnet, but now I'm disappointed.
Yeah.
So I know. Well, let's check it out.
Next idea. But yeah, and if you've already checked it out, but you haven't looked in a little while, keep looking. I release new designs literally every week. So for at least the next couple of months, you're going to get a new design every week. So come back, check it out again, and see if there's something you missed.
I have 1,000 questions, but I'll save them for the next show.
All right. Well, let's jump away to our inserted ads here.
Running a small business means I wear lots of hats. When I put on my hiring hat, I can count on LinkedIn Hiring Pro to make it easy. LinkedIn Hiring Pro helps manage my hiring workflow, puts my job post in front of a unique network of professionals, and matches me with the best candidates for my business. I can also share my job with my network. No other job site lets me do that. No wonder most small businesses say they'd use LinkedIn Hiring Pro again. Hire right the first time. Post your job for free on LinkedIn today at linkedin.com/quality.
And we are back. So let's get to the trailer park. Let's round this baby out. We have a new trailer as of a week ago at recording. There was a new video posted today that I'll mention real quick. They did confirm that the spider suit is inspired by the other Spider-Mans. Spider-Mans. They kind of did a video of Tom Holland talking through the new suit, and one of the costume designers talking through it and the inspirations. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about something way more juicy, which is a full-fledged trailer. Second trailer. First one was kind of a teaser. This one is full-fledged. I think couple 3 minutes, something like that. We start off, Spidey's very sad. He sees his friends living their best life. Without him, well, he has something weird going on with his contacts. I mean, his eyes. We get confirmation that Ned and MJ are in their last semester at MIT. We see Spidey. We see, and this is a very, very high level summary. I want to be upfront with you guys. We'll talk a little bit about some of the other little nuggets in there, but
You mean this not give your Eric Voss new rock star?
yeah, exactly.
50 breakdown of like a 120-second trailer.
Yeah. We
By
see
the way,
that.
we love you, Eric Voss. We would.
Yes. Come on,
have him.
please.
Oh my God. Yeah. Please.
He approaches Dr. Banner. We see Spidey approaching Dr. Banner, who doesn't know him, about suppressing mutating DNA.
Enhanced.
It kind of introduces us to the core conflict here is like, what is good, what is bad, right? Our main villain seems to be revealed as some sort of mind controller that Spidey is uniquely immune to. And throughout the trailer, we see Spidey kind of fighting against this mind controller as well as some other folks. So some fights we see teed up. We see the Scorpion coming back, finally. Almost Baron Mordo treatment there. We see Hulk. We see at some point Dr. Banner is going to lose his mutant suppression and going to become full hulked out and fight Spidey.
Is it mutant suppression or is it gamma suppression?
He says mutating DNA.
Okay. I guess the gamma does that. Okay.
Yeah. And I think mutating is key here. And I'm not the one who came up with this theory. I saw it and I really agree with it. I think it's very strong. Because we know that a couple other things just real quick to mention. We know that the main villain seems to be some sort of mind control person. We've not seen their face. We know they wear a hoodie up. And also we see that the Hand is going to be involved in this as another fight that Spidey has. But going to that unknown mind control villain. So that villain seems to know who Spidey is. They make reference to visiting MJ. And they're very clever in the way that these trailers are doing it because they have that mind control villain speaking through other like randoms.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't ever hear the mind control villain's voice necessarily. We really don't know much about them. We do know, though, that they do seem to know who Spidey is and seem to know his past. So here's the theory I'm going to posit, and some of this is taken from other people. I think we are going to get Sadie Sink playing a different universe version of Jean Grey. And I think maybe it's going to be full Phoenix Jean Grey, who's like borderline evil. And she is going to be our mind control villain. Because we know Sadie Sink is in this. She's a redhead, famously.
Character hasn't been named. She's like refused to talk about what her role is. Right?
And we keep saying mutant, right?
Yeah.
Like mutant comes up over and over. And so my theory is we're going to get a nearly villainous Jean Grey and this mutant suppression technology that Banner is using. Someone, maybe a Bolivar Trask, is going to get a hold of that and try and subjugate mutants, right? Like maybe it's a time traveling version of Jean Grey that knows that in the future, Bolivar Trask uses this to subjugate mutants. You know, I think that Dr. Banner's mutant suppression technology is going to anger a mind controlling mutant, likely Jean Grey, and there we have kind of the whole thing.
Right.
I don't know.
I will say this. So I don't know what my balance in my 401k is right now. I will wager all of it that it's Jean Grey. And I've heard other theories. It could be like Rachel Summers, but like you can't get to Rachel Summers until you have Jean Grey. You know what I mean? Like you can't can't get there. Like it's so, redhead, mind control. I don't think it'll be Phoenix, but I do think you could see the conflict being over, as you mentioned, like this kind of this inhibitor, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And, the X-Men have, famously when coming up through the 60s is kind of like this group that was, kind of persecuted. You could talk about all kind of like the corollaries to stuff that was going on at the time. I having just seen what I've seen, I can't imagine who else it would be, to be honest. Yeah. And that makes sense from a power perspective, because we're going to see Hulk, right? Mm-hmm. We saw Hulk in the trailer. We saw Scorpion. We saw Peter Parker, Spider-Man. We saw the Punisher for a second. We saw the Hand Clan. So I think it's ultimately going to be Punisher, Peter, Hulk, maybe versus Jean Grey, if you will. But I mean, this is the movie they're bringing in. They're introducing the mutants. This is it. Yeah. Right now, this is it.
Which is wild when you think about the rights. So I just thought of this as you said that. This is a Sony produced MCU movie.
Yes.
That is likely introducing in an official capacity, because we'll talk about Ms. Marvel here in a couple episodes of the main show, but introducing 6162 mutants. Obviously Deadpool and Wolverine is also a thing, but it's just interesting that like our full-fledged dive into mutant kind is coming by way of a Sony produced MCU project. Like, holy crap, because that's Fox's domain coming through Disney's domain, being released on a Sony produced.
You also have Universal that owns the rights to distribute
the Hulk.
Yeah. A standalone Hulk.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. Rather than give me the Punisher movie, I just want to be like a behind the scenes, like, let's look at what the attorneys had to do. Look at all the combing through the agreements, the rights analysis that was done, and the negotiation, whatever. Anyway, I think, it is interesting to see, because you're right. They have to license out the rights, the permissions to use these things. And so the fact that you are potentially introducing the X-Men in a Sony property is wild.
Yeah.
Wild.
Yeah.
Now, I think Sony has kind of learned ever since the infamous throwing of the sandwich that let's just let Marvel kind of do their thing, right? We will make a boat ton of money. All we have to do is distribute it. We have to market it. That's all we have to do. They're not going to get any kind of residual rights to use the Hulk in the future or use any other Marvel properties. Yeah, you want to throw in Robert Downey Jr. in a post-credit scene. Knock yourself out. We are going to print money from this movie, right?
Yeah, and I mean, good for Sony, because they cannot do anything with that. They struggle to get anything off the ground with that license elsewise. Like, the animated Spider-Verse movies are great, but they've been production nightmares from everything I've heard. That's why the third one is still not out.
Dude, it's going to be out in a year.
Maybe.
Last one's like 2024. It's almost to the date. It's like 51 weeks from today. It's coming out.
Yeah, and like, obviously the Spider villain verse was so good. Like,
oh yeah, I forgot. Yeah, Craven was not bad.
Eric has offered to come on and do a Madam Web episode with us.
I'll do Madam Web. Madam Web was really bad. Madam Web was worse, Madam Web or Craven?
I haven't seen either.
What?
I haven't watched either yet.
That might be the dealer's choice.
Oh, buddy. Oh, buddy. Well, yeah. So for our next monthly bugle, we'll probably wait until after Spider-Man comes out. We'll have X-Men. We'll have the new X-Men animated show. That's coming out in July. That's coming out when you listen to this. That'll be like this week. July 1st is the first air date. Spider-Man comes out end of July, so we'll probably take July off from the Bugle just to kind of cash up a little bit of just to get a little bit of content there.
Yeah, just push it back a week, right?
And then we'll be on air to talk about some fresh new releases in the Marvel world. Between then and now, though, check out our socials. We are Puny Pod across all socials. Search for Puny Pod, you'll find us. Check out our other shows on the network. One of the ones that I want to highlight is one that David and I do together sometimes. He was not on this episode. We actually did a episode. The show is called Fantasyland Draft League. It's a fantasy draft style show where basically we pick a topic within the Disney universe and we draft it Serpentine style. The episode that is out, most recent episode out right now, is Sit Down Restaurants at Disneyland Resort, which I have qualms with some of the decisions that were made, but hey, I got voted out. We run that show like a democracy, and sometimes we do votes.
Highly controversial.
Very controversial. I will say it was one of the more competitive episodes we've had, because like usually we do something like Star Wars characters without Skywalker in their name, or something like that is thousands of options to choose from, and we got to pick 25 of them. This is like there are literally like less than 30 sit down restaurants on the Disney property, and so on Disneyland property. And so it got to the nitty gritty. That's for sure.
I will just say this. If you buy a churro, sit at a table or that's nearby, that's not sit down. That's not sit down. Like the fact that you can physically sit down and eat food. Like when I buy my Ronto roaster and I sit down, that is not a sit down experience. That's like, I would have been so enraged. I would have flipped the table over and then walked off the Zoom. So no, it was a fun episode. It was good as always. Like,
and if you want to hear more about Eric's love life, attempted love life, go listen to that episode.
Let's wrap this up.
Check out the Patreon. When I remember to post our super secret spoiler show, it goes up there. It's been a minute since I've remembered to post one. We have a couple cached. And with that, our next main show will be the dealer's choice whenever we get around to it. David, you gotta choose that, my friend.
I know, man. I know. That's on me. Like from last year's wager, and I've played around with a few ideas, and then I get distracted with work, and then I forget to text you about it. But we'll hook it up for sure.
All good, my friend. All good. But yeah, until then, check out all the links in our show notes. We got tons of stuff down there. Go check it out. And yeah, with that all said, enough said.
Hey, it's Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. Now, I was looking for fun ways to tell you that Mint's offer of unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month is back. So I thought it would be fun if we made $15 bills. But it turns out that's very illegal. So there goes my big idea for the commercial. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12-month plan required. $15 per month equivalent. Taxes and fees extra. Initial plan term only. Greater than 50 gigabytes may slow when network is busy. See terms.